In today's video, we will present a series of useful tips and information related to the MECHA User Interface. There is one user interface accessible from any browser on a phone or computer after connecting to the MECHA's Wi-Fi network. MECHA can be set to AP, STA, and AP+STA modes. In AP and AP+STA modes, the user interface is accessible at the static IP address 192.168.8.1 and also at a dynamic IP address in both STA and AP+STA modes, regardless of the controller used. You can switch between controllers without needing to learn a completely new user interface. However, there is a C2 interface that emulates the OLED display and physical buttons of the C2 controller. Depending on your device, click or tap the virtual buttons to send commands similar to pressing the physical buttons on the controller. It can be accessed at IP/C2. When in doubt about what a UI control does, simply move the mouse pointer over a control, or click the info button to reveal short descriptions next to each control. You can even customize the user interface to your needs by hiding controls that you don't need. You can also edit the information or replace it with something more meaningful to you. Let's change this one to Options for User Interface Complexity. The complexity of the user interface can be adjusted by selecting an appropriate option from the list next to the info button. Select one of the S options to simplify the user interface. Select A3 to show all the controls. If you need to create your own preset and don't know where to begin, we recommend loading a factory preset. Then, change the preset settings and save it under a different name. If factory presets are not listed in the presets list, access the configuration page and ensure the related checkbox is checked. Then, click the Apply button. The two-axis slider can be used to set corners for a partial panorama and also to visualize a preset execution. To ensure it works correctly, it is recommended to update the two-axis slider to reflect the actual position of the upper rail of your panoramic head. Multiple updates cause no errors. For example, if the upper rail is in the parked position, use the P button. Ensure the label of the first button reads Set before clicking the P button. MECHA acts like a typical remote shutter release. The duration of the shutter button signal plus the delay after each trigger sequence, E+A, should be at least equal to the exposure set on your camera. However, you can control exposure by using MECHA if bulb mode is enabled on your camera. Depending on the preset settings, the script field may or may not be visible on the user interface. It can be displayed at any time by selecting the scripted option from the mode list. A preset script, either created automatically or entered manually, takes priority over related preset settings. For example, the starting position specified in the script overrides the starting position selected from the list. The script type can be either PY, which uses pitch and yaw conventions, or TXN, which uses tilts and the number of positions for each tilt. The C1 controller has three numerical buttons, 1, 2, and 3. The equivalent buttons on the C2 controller are minus, plus, and menu. Do you see any similarity between 1 and minus, 2 and plus, 3 and menu? Minus consists of one line, plus consists of two crossed lines, and menu consists of 3 parallel lines. This helps you remember the equivalence between the buttons. When saving a preset, it can also be assigned to a controller button. For example, Save 1 saves the preset and also assigns it to button 1 on the C1 controller, or to the minus button on the C2 controller. This is of great help, especially for C1 users, as the preset can be launched later, perhaps on a photo shoot location, by pressing button 1 and a directional button, without accessing the user interface. C2 users must ensure advanced mode is on the C2 controller, to be able to use the minus and directional buttons to launch a preset. Similarly, when saving a preset using the Save 2 and Save 3 buttons on the user interface, the preset is assigned to button 2, respectively button 3, on the C1 controller, or to the plus and menu buttons on the C2 controller. Thank you for watching.